Hey, welcome back to DIYWILLY. Today, well, we're going to get back to work on the Dell Optiplex upgrade we started in our last video about the computer. There's not much left of the Dell Optiplex, actually, other than the motherboard and the CD-ROM drive. But, yeah, we're still calling it the Dell Optiplex. This will be video 2 of the Dell upgrade, version 2.5, I guess you want to call it. I don't know. Yeah, we got a few things we're gonna do right here. It's actually up and running fine. You can see in the background right here that it's working. So we had some recommendations for parts for this build, and yeah, we've made some changes again. We'll talk about it in the video. Now, I filmed this video, this assembly of the computer again when the house was full of people, and so the audio is no good whatsoever. So I'm gonna try to do my best at a voiceover. I've got my mic here. I've never used it, but for this type of work, but we're gonna give it a shot. I'm not usually a good talker. I don't make jokes that often, or I have a very dry sense of humor. And so I'll do the best I can to make it as interesting as I can as I talk over the video that I'm about to make. So, yeah, let's get started on this video and see what we do to further upgrade the Dell Optiplex 7020. All right, let's go. Okay, so let's get started. So one of the recommendations was that the cooler that I chose, the one you see pictured there, was not sufficient enough to cool the 49 or 4790K chip. And that may be a true statement. I don't know. All I can do is go with it, because the 4790K, it died an early death. I don't know how that chip, what kind of life it lived, but it only lasted about 2 days in my computer. I tried doing some what they call magic mask, and yeah, the chip just went to a blue screen, a fatal error, and I should have documented that error and had a picture of it in here somewhere, but I didn't. It happened pretty late at night, and yeah. Anyway, so there you can see Willie's cleaning off. He's got the fan off, and he's taking some rubbing alcohol and some tissue paper, and he's cleaning the thermal paste from the top of the CPU. You don't have to press very hard. Let the alcohol and the tissue do the work. Just make sure it gets good and cleaned up, you know. Yeah, see, it's really simple. Just wipe around like that, and get all the old thermal paste off. Now, that's not very old thermal paste. That thermal paste right there that I'm taking off is about a week old, because after the 4790K died, I took it out and I put the 4770 from the original Dell back in, and was able to use it until I received the new 4790K. And believe it or not, the seller was really good about sending me a new one. There you can see, just move the arm right there to lift the bracket that holds the CPU down, and we'll get the new 4790K replacement. We'll get it out. There it is right there, replacement 4790K. Again, that seller was gracious enough to send me a replacement. We'll just protect the 4770 because that's been a good tried hard CPU. We'll keep it there. We'll put the new replacement in. Yeah, there you go, Willie. Get it in there now. Now you just line up the little, there's a little arrow in the corner, a couple of indentations on the side, and you can just slip it in. But I guess he's going to do something else. Oh yeah, the bracket. I had an idea to remove the bracket so that I could use the new fan's backing plate. Uh, in which by doing that, I thought I could hold the CPU bracket down with just some nuts on the backside, and then I could put the cooler fan bracket over those nuts and hold it securely. But it didn't quite fit. I wound up doing something else. You're gonna see here in a minute. So now we've got the backing plate off. That's the original Dell backing plate. It's a nice aluminum with like non-conductive material on it. There's the 632 nuts and bolts. I'm only going to use the nuts to hold the CPU bracket down. Get it all set up here. The first piece. Come on, Willie. Now I do put some little plastic washers there. I don't show them in the video, but I should have. Um, However, I did not go this way. We'll see that here in a few minutes. I just tried this and it didn't work. Uh, yeah, you'll see in a minute. But let's let Willie get his job done here, what he's doing. Get everything put back together. Now be very careful when you're handling these motherboards like this. What do they call them, PCBs or something? But you gotta be careful not to damage the pins on the socket. They're pretty delicate and they are exposed right there. So anytime you're doing work around the socket like that, it's not advised to manhandle it the way it's being handled. We would really want to take more caution around that, especially with the screwdriver right there, man. If he would have just bumped it and damaged the pins, that would have been the end of the world right there. There we go. There's the nuts on there, holding the clamp down. Little shot of the back plate off of there. And yeah, all right. Good job, Willie. Okay, so let's get the 4770 put away and protected in its cover and its anti-static bag. We want to protect that socket. That's been a good processor right there. We'll hang on to it. Definitely. Probably maybe even put another computer together. So here's the cooler. This was recommended by the Game Bench. You can see it highlighted in yellow. He said this would be what I probably would need to get the job done for that 4790K. This thing's monstrous. I didn't realize how big this thing would be. Look at that. It's got like 5 heat pipes on each side to go into each. They call those radiators, I guess. Uh, yeah, look at that. That thing's a monster. There's the pull out the hardware pack right there. Now this has the different adapters for AMD and the LGA 1700. I mean, it can be used for a wide variety of sockets. We have it for the 1150 socket. What we're going to use it on, I think there's a 51, a 55. So it can be used for all the LG 1150 series sockets and then the 1700 socket and the AMD sockets. So let's take a look at that fan. It's a good looking fan. It's got some anti-vibration pads on it. There's some instructions. I don't know what that was, warranty card or something. Yeah, we're gonna follow the 1150 instructions. I think we see them in this fold out right here, and yeah, yeah, Willie found it. 1150X install instructions. There we go. That's what we need. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's easily installed. Now here's a whole packet full of hardware that you can use. It's got the different back plates, like I said, for the different processor types, the AMD, the LGA 1700, and the 1150. They said X, so it could be for the 51, the 55, or whatnot. Uh, we're going to use the 1150 socket or 50X. There we go, right there. Get it out of the bag, Willie. See? LGA 115X bracket. Again, that covers the 51, the 55. It might even be a 53. I don't remember exactly. We got the 50, so the 1150 socket. Then there's some little spring clips here for the fan. Take those, set them aside. We'll use those later. And here's the mounting plates. You've got some that are curved, some that are straight. The curved ones are for the AMD. The straight ones are for the Intel chips. And you got one. You got one that's there's Groot barking. You got one that's slotted, one that's just got a straight hole in it. We'll get a shot of that here in a minute. And yeah, come on, Willie, move a little faster. Now, looking at the back of the motherboard, you see we had the 632 nuts on there. And guess what? It doesn't fit. The holes don't line up as I thought they would. And the backing plate does not fit flush against the motherboard. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Well, that's right there is the thinking process of what we could do next to make this work. You know, I thought... What are we going to do? Doesn't fit. That might be a problem. See, right there. Now, what are we going to do? So, it's time to get some power tools. Start doing some modifications to this bracket. So what we did, if you can see it, it's kind of hard to see right there. We cut the ears off the DELL bracket. But first, you probably see the holes drilled. I re-drilled the holes on the fan bracket, and it didn't fit. Still didn't fit. So we put the DELL bracket back on, cut the ears off as a recommendation from the fan type itself, and then it fit. You know, it didn't fit all the way against the motherboard correctly, but with the DELL backing plate back on there, it's good. It'll work. And what happened is the holes, the 4 holes on each side, in each corner of it, the motherboard holes weren't big enough for that to fit all the way through, and I didn't want to take and drill out the motherboard. So this was the best solution, and it works. It works really good. So here right now, we're just going to go ahead and attach that solid with some, oh, there we go, slipping it through. See, there it's mounted. You use the hardware to tighten it down. Now we can put the little brackets on top of this that actually hold the cooler down. And we have, there's the AMD bracket. You see it's kind of curved. There's one of the Intel brackets. And then we have, you want to make sure you use the one that's slotted for the 1150. The one that's not slotted is for the larger Intel processor. So we get this done right here. Then there's 4 screws. There's a whole bunch of screws, but we want to use the 4 smaller screws. See, you just realized we don't have the right bracket on there. Well, that's easy enough to fix. Put the right one on there, Willie. Get the slotted one. That way the holes line up. Is he going to show us? I thought he shows us here what we're doing. Yeah, there you go. See? I have the EVGA 1150, the slotted holes. Straight holes, slotted holes. There we go, Willie. You got it figured out. There you go. We should have been reading the instructions. They're right there on the side of the video. You just covered them up with your hands, Willie. Come on now. Oh, there you go. Take a look at the instructions. Get the 4 small screws out. Yeah. Get the smallest ones. Set them aside. There you go. Got them found. All right, Willie. Get the screwdriver. There you go. See, you need the 4 small screws, and they'll hold down those brackets. Now, those brackets have a stud on them that the cooler will screw down to. So after you get all 4 of them in there, you might have to wiggle them a little bit to get them to go down. I noticed they were a little bit off the holes, but I was able to get them all in there before tightening them down. That way, yeah, see that? Just give them a little tight. You don't have to really wrench them down. You don't want to bend the motherboard. You don't want to damage it. Just get them good and tight. And yeah, get some light on there. Now, see, now he's looking at the instructions. Good job, Willie. Let's make sure we get this done right. We don't want to damage this CPU. The seller may not be so courteous to send us another one. And they're kind of expensive. Those 4790s are expensive. For the price of that 4790, I could almost buy the like a 10th gen or 12th gen or something, or 5, whatever. You know, I could buy a better CPU, but I really wanted that 4790 to use with this motherboard at the moment. You know, later on, I plan to build a better computer, faster, more newer generation computer. But for now, this one's working amazing. So there's Willie trying to figure out what's next. Nope, nope, Willie, no, stud's there. Come on. The instructions, I guess, maybe I just didn't read them thoroughly enough. I was a little bit stumped on what was next. Maybe you folks that have put these coolers on before probably laughing at me going, come on, man, figure it out. Just bolt the cooler on there right now. You know, to me, the instructions weren't that clear. I thought there was something else that needed to go on there because actually I thought I screwed through the cooler. I didn't realize the cooler had like captive screws in it. But we get it figured out here in a second. Looking at all the hardware, making sure I didn't need to add any standoffs or anything like that to let the cooler sit on top of the CPU properly. You know, I want to make sure I had good contact. Yeah, come on, Willie, get this figured out. I should have edited this all out. See, look at that. There's somebody saying, hey, drink some water. All right, all right, all right. I'll drink more water. My wife always tells me, mas agua, mas agua. Yeah. Okay. And back to work here. There's Groot, my great assistant. He lost interest in the project. He wasn't helping me out this time. Okay, no. All right, so we got to figure out what we need to do. We're going to spread the thermal paste on there. This is the thermal paste that came with the cooler. Maybe there's better brands out there. I don't know. This is what the manufacturer says is good enough to use, so I have it. I'm going to use it. And rather than just put a dot, you know, a pea-sized blob in the middle of the CPU, I'm going to go ahead and spread it around. I really want to give this the best chance it has to lasting and not overheating or damaging the CPU, or whatever it may be. Whatever killed the last one, I want this one to work great. So you can see we got the thermal paste evenly spread to every corner, every inch of the top of the CPU. And we got a little bit on the bracket. That's okay. Here we go. Now don't forget that little plastic cover on the bottom right there. You got to peel that off or your system will overheat. That will be an insulator between the two parts and it won't cool properly. So like I said, it's got little captive screws in there, or nuts if you want to call them. And you just line them up right there, set them up, grab the screwdriver and run it down. Yeah, do it a little bit on each one evenly so that you apply the pressure to the CPU evenly. Don't just run it down all at once. You know, you kind of work it back and forth. Make sure it's seated properly. At first I didn't have it quite in the right position, but you know, I figured it out, as you can see. Let's go, Willie. Get this done. Yeah, I have one more project to do on this computer. Unfortunately, the part is held up in China, so I'm waiting for it to come, and it won't come until for another week or so. So there will be a part 3 to this video, this build series rather, and yeah, when that part gets here. Okay, so we got the cooler all down, and let's take a look at that fan. You know, we've got to undo the power cable there, the wires, get them undone. Now, and you always want the airflow to flow towards the cage side. So we want this airflow to flow towards the back of the computer. So, well, Willie, you forgot something. You're trying to plug that fan into that DELL header. It ain't gonna work, buddy. You're gonna figure it out in a minute. Oh yeah, there. So you go. The Dell fan adapter. I think it's 5-pin to 4-pin or something like that. And now we can plug that fan in, and it'll plug into the Dell motherboard. Come on, Willie. Don't get ahead of yourself. See? There we go. Now links will be in the description for the parts I've used in this video. I have them in the description of the other first part of this build series too. So we'll get that fan in there, just kind of checking it out, make sure how I can do some cable management on that wire. See, I can plug it in and run it. See what's the best way. Looks like it's going to be ran around the top of the fan, just like that, and then plug in. Yeah, that'll work. Problem with using adapters, you know, the cables get a little bit longer, so now you've got to deal with that extra length of cable. So these little spring clips, I wish I had got a better picture of them. They attach on the fan, and then they hold the fan to the cooler. They just go in the holes like that. You want to set them in the furthest hole. Yeah, see, don't forget the clips. That'll hold the fan. There you go. And there's two, one on each side of the fan. We'll have the wire running through there to work out for our cable management. And then you just carefully slip it down inside and then lock those spring clips on the cooler. The cooler's got little recessed areas that those spring clips snap into, and it works really well. Holds the fan securely against the cooler, and the cooler has rubber pads that will help with vibration. And yeah, there you go. See? Easily done. Look at that. Looks nice. Look at the size of it. It's a monster in there. It's just as big as the RAM. That's a very important picture right there, because I've been trying to figure out if I had a room for RAM with some heat sinks on it, and that wouldn't touch the cooler. And that picture right there actually showed it. So here we take a look at the motherboard, lift it up. We want to make sure that the cooler is secured to the motherboard tightly and all the way down. We don't want any gaps. We want it to be firm. It doesn't wobble, doesn't wiggle, none of that stuff. You know, make sure it's completely seated on top of the processor. And this looks good. It looks very firm. Look at that. See, I'm shaking it back and forth, and looks like we have success here. Fans in there. Now I really want to use 2 fans on this setup, and I do replace that fan because I liked the old fan that had the blue LED light in it. I thought that looked really cool in the case. If you saw the last video, you saw towards the end when it was on, it had the blue LED lights in it. There you go. For the most part, I have it all assembled. Looks pretty good. Definitely a lot larger cooler. I did add an extra fan up here, and I took out the filters, and I kept the Dell fan right there just for the motherboard to see it. And the new EVGA GeForce GTX 1660 Super right here. Looking forward to working with this. Yeah, for the most part it's done. Gotta put the panels back on it, and yeah, and try it out, make sure it works. There we go. There we go. Still got a bit of a problem with cable management, even with the modular power supply, but that's all right. It's down there where you don't see it. I wish it had that metal piece that covered this up and everything came in from the back, then you wouldn't see it. But I moved the drive bays over that way a little bit to give me more room for the cables. But yeah, it looks good. This one strapped really nice on the edge. You can see right there. And on the back side is not bad. So there we go. Covers are back on. Computer's plugged in. It's working. I added these fans there with the blue LEDs. Yeah, it looks good. There's the fan on top. Got the Dell fan in there. Dell fan started making some noise, so I put some oil in it, quieted it down. Yeah, it's moving a lot of air. A lot of air. I like that. I need to figure out how to check temperatures. But yeah, it's all running. 850 watts power supply. new graphics card, cooler, fans, and there we go. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I got a couple more things I want to do with this, and well, I'll see you next time. Bye.